Hello my dear friends, my name is Sanne and I'm back with another beauty video, and today I'm doing a new series. I'm starting a new series on this channel because I had a few questions about can you do tutorials on certain colors, on how to get started on certain colors, because I find them to be intimidating. And I had this great idea. At least I think it's a great idea, but that just to my own horn, you know. I felt like it was a good idea to do a sort of rainbow makeup series where in each episode I tackle one color of the rainbow, one bright makeup color that might be a bit intimidating to wear, especially if you're a beginner in makeup. And in this series I want to tackle each of these colors, and for each color show you a more subtle, beginner friendly way to get into a bright shade, and then also a more advanced makeup look. So in this video we're of course gonna tackle the color red, and I'm gonna show you two looks, a beginner look and a more advanced look. So I'm gonna show you how to do this beautiful, more subtle red toned look, and how to go from this makeup look to this. So let's get ahead and get into both of these looks and start with the more beginner friendly way to use red eyeshadow. Okay, so let's quickly get into how to use red eyeshadow when you're maybe starting out with makeup and colorful eyeshadow is a bit scary. It can be a bit scary. I find red eyeshadow to be scary still, even though I wear a lot of colorful eyeshadow. So I'm gonna give you some tips and gonna show you an easy look to kind of tone down red eyeshadow but still wear red eyeshadow. And to get started I'm gonna be using some tape. This is just Scotch tape, and I'm gonna be sticking that on my face so I can create an eyeshadow wing soon. I want a nice sharp edge, you know? And to me, the trick for toning down red eyeshadow is to use a lot of red toned neutrals. You can definitely add like an actual bright red in there, but I want to get into some reddish neutrals. This is the Fab Factory Sparkling Bliss palette, and as you can see there's some reddish orangey neutrals in here, so we're gonna start with those. And I'm gonna be using a small fluffy brush so I have loads of control over my colors. And I have already applied eyeshadow primer, just so you know. I have applied eyeshadow primer. I don't do a makeup look without using eyeshadow primer. I sometimes use concealer instead of a primer, which also works perfectly fine. But just so you know, that way you can have just a lot more control over your shadows. They stick better. There's a lot more pigment in them, so I usually wear an eyeshadow primer. If you want the look to be very toned down, you can also not use an eyeshadow primer, and then the color will stick to your skin a bit less well, so there will be a lot less pigment and the shade will just be a lot more toned down. So that's just an easy way to tone it down even more if that's what you want to do. But I'm just gonna get into this red neutral shade called Sweetheart, just a tiny bit. I kind of want to keep it very subtle. I'm just gonna apply a tiny bit and then really blend that out. So I'm gonna apply that in the outer corner and then just start blending that. And then you can just go over that piece of tape because that is gonna create a nice strong edge. And as you can see, because I'm trying to spread this shade out on like a really big piece of my skin, it's getting really toned down. So that's an easy way to wear like brighter colors a bit more subtly. Just apply a little less and then blend it out more. And we're using brown tones just to make it a little bit less bright red. Like that. It's lovely and subtle. It still has a bit of a wing and a bit of something interesting to it. And we are gonna add some red into this, so it is gonna be more red, but it's just a bit more subtle than actual red makeup. So this is a great way to get started with red makeup. So then we're gonna get into an actual more bright red shade. So I'm going into my Beauty Bay Bright Matte palette and I'm going into this shade Poppin' Poppy. Because it's not bright red, it's just a tiny bit more toned down, but it's still obviously a red. And again, go in with that small brush. And this time I'm kind of moving from over here where most of the brown shade ends, and then blending that inwards. And I'm just carefully blending that into my crease And again, if you don't want it to be too bright red, just apply a little bit and blend it out more. I'm just building up the color a bit more to get a bit more actual red in there, but you don't need to do that. And if you feel like you've gone a bit too overboard with the blending, this is a trick you can use for any makeup look. Just go into like a skin tone shade, maybe when you have a skin tone powder or just a base shade in general, something that matches your skin tone very well. Like I have this base shade in this Bright Matte palette, and just go over that edge. This helps blending in general, and it can definitely help when you've gone a bit too overboard on the edge. And the trick to blending is to make small bit of circular motions, and then as soon as you go more outwards, to like put less pressure on there. Okay, and now we have a toned down red. Isn't that lovely? You can apply a bit more of that brown shade in the corner if you want to deepen it up a tiny bit more. That's what I like to do. I like my colors to be very deep, but again, you can just apply a bit less of them and make them a bit more subtle if that's more your style. I just like my makeup to be very pigmented and out there. That's just my makeup style. So I think we can take off the tape now and reveal a lovely wing. And if you've messed up any tiny bit, you can also always, of course, clean it up a bit with concealer. Okay, so then we want to add a bit of a shimmer. And to keep it more subtle and less red, you don't want to go for a red shimmer. You want to go for more of like a rosy toned shimmer. So I'm gonna go into this lovely shade Blushing, which is like a light bit of a rosy tone. And I'm just gonna apply that on my lid. And as you can see, that blends right into that red shade. And you can also always go for a more champagne shimmer or a more pink shimmer. I'm going in with this bright, more pink one for the inner corner, just to keep in that same theme, but have a bit more color going on. And pink and red actually work very well together in makeup, just because they're so close together on the color wheel. They really lovely blend into each other. As long as you're not wearing like a neon pink with a bright red, it's gonna look nice. And as you can see, we have a very subtle red going on. It's still red, you can definitely tell it's red, but it's more subtle. So what I want to do now is just apply a tiny bit on my lower lash line. Sometimes I like my lower lash line to be like really blown out, and sometimes I don't. And when I don't, I go in with like this flat but fluffy brush. It's very small as well, as you can tell. And then we're just gonna go in with that brown shade that we used over here. Just really softly blend that into the lower lash line. I don't want to go outwards too much because I don't want to mess up this lovely clean edge over here. But I just can't stand it when my lower lash line is bare. Like, you can definitely keep it like this if this is your style. This is a lovely look in itself. But I just can't deal with a bare lower lash line. I don't know why. It's just not my thing. So I like to apply a tiny bit of makeup. And this time I'm keeping a bit more subtle and close to the edge and not really blown out, because I don't want to ruin that lovely shape we got going over here. And then I'm gonna blend it out a tiny bit with that bright red we also used. And that is the more subtle red eyeshadow for you. I'm just gonna finish this up with mascara and lashes and everything, and I'll get right back to you. Okay, I finished up the makeup look. I kept it very simple, just some mascara and the lip gloss that's a bit more red toned. I'm wearing the Catrice Generation Plump and Shine lip gloss in the shade Shiny Garnet, which is lovely and red toned, just like the eyeshadow. So this is a very, very lovely and subtle way to wear red eyeshadow. Of course, the lovely wing is kind of being the star of the show. And if you really want to tone that down, you can also just do a normal blend to kind of tone it down even more, because then you'll just have like this, you know. You can tone it down even more if you want, and that is, in my opinion, the best way to get started on colorful makeup, is just tone it down to whatever level you feel comfortable with, try it out, and then up that until you're comfortable with it, you know. And also what I used to do is just do crazy makeup looks on my own in my bedroom, take a picture and then take it off. You don't really have to wear the shades out, but that is a great way to also get used to how certain colors look on your skin and how you like to use them. And then when you feel comfortable enough with it, you can go out and wear them. But this is just one way to wear a bit more of a subtle red tone. Like I said, just blend it out a lot to tone the colors down. Use browns instead of immediately only reds. And use rosy toned shimmers. And then you got yourself this look. So this is the beginner's version of a red makeup look. I hope that helped you get into red makeup a bit. So now let's get into a more advanced or extreme way to wear red eyeshadow. Let's go. Okay, I've taken off the previous red look, and for the more advanced makeup look we're gonna be doing something like kind of similar in shape and idea, but just with more excessive coloring. So I'm gonna start with sticking some scotch tape on my eyes again, you know, just to make it a bit easier for myself. And for this look I'm mainly gonna be using the Beauty Bay Bright Matte palette because we're going into like some actual deep matte shades. So to get started I'm grabbing a pencil brush, this one, and I'm actually going into the black. We're gonna be risky today. And I'm using the small pencil brush just so I can work very, very controlling. You know, I can have proper control over the brush because we're using black and black is a lot. So, and I'm just gonna apply that in an eyeliner fashion. I kind of want to make like a very sharp eyeliner point over here. So I'm grabbing a diagonally cut eyeliner brush, a very small one. And I'm gonna be drawing a nice liner shape. And I want to stop before I hit the center of my eye. And now I'm just gonna fill this in. And I'm not gonna go a lot further than this because I want to be blending soon. Okay, so we got both wings kind of done. So now I'm gonna go in to that same red shade we used in the previous look, Poppin' Poppy. And I'm gonna go in with that pencil brush that we used before, and I'm just stamping that along this kind of blended edge that we created here. And you want to stamp that because black blends a bit weird into like literally any color. And I don't want it to look too muddy. So I'm just stamping the color on before I'm doing any type of blending. And all I'm gonna do right now is just go back and forth with both colors and just slowly blend it in. Don't go in too much with the black because then you'll definitely overpower the red. It's better to go in with red and red and red and then a tiny bit black than the other way around. And then going back in with that red again, stamping it on a tiny bit and then dragging that outwards. And this is what we're gonna be doing until we're perfectly happy with our blend. Okay, so we got that blend down, but as you can see, the black mixed with the red and it's turned sort of muddy, so you can't really notice there's any red. So we're going into the shade that's next to the red shade we just used, and this is gonna be like a bright red. Hot stuff. This is literally like a bright, almost neon red. And for this I'm gonna use a bit of a fluffier brush so we can have a lovely blend going on over here. And I'm not gonna be using the same brush that we used the black with because then you're gonna definitely have some black left in that brush. And I'm just gonna stamp that red right on there and build that up. And then make sure you don't have too much on your brush, and then you can try and blend out this inner corner a bit. And if you want to keep it really bright red, you shouldn't blend it out too much because blended out red is gonna make pink. Okay, time to take these babies off. Lovely. Okay, so I first want to get into the lower lash line, and for that I'm grabbing my very small brush again, and I'm just so slightly going into that black and then just line that under eye with it. Nothing more than this. This is just like almost too much already. Then I'm gonna go in with that very thin brush that we used in the previous look, and I'm going into the red and then just carefully blend it out. And I think I mainly want to keep this a matte look because, you know, the red is already doing all the talking for itself. I just want to add like a tiny bit of glitter because shimmers are my favorite. So I'm going into Treat by Chaos Dirt, just a tiny bit, and then really Just doing that in the inner corner of the lid. Right there. I'm just dragging it out so I have a bit of sparkle going on. Okay, and then as a final thing, I'm grabbing my Shall We Makeup liquid eyeshadow in 5th dimension. And I'm just gonna apply a tiny bit to my hand. And then just dab my fingies in there a tiny bit. And just dab that in the inner corner as a highlighter. This basically turns red. And it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go in with a black eye pencil and line my waterline, just so my waterline blends into the rest of the look. Already looks a lot better. Time to finish up the look. I'll be right back with you. Okay, I'm back with the finished look. I was really in doubt if I should add like a red lipstick, maybe, but I feel like this neutral one is perfectly fine. This is the Maximore lipstick in the shade Muse. I first went for more pink toned lipstick because I felt like it fit the look better, but then it also drew out the pink undertones of the red a bit more, so the red seemed more pink and I really wanted it to scream red, so I changed up for this one. And this is the finished look. It's definitely bright red, but the black also tones it down a bit. But because it's black, it also looks more extreme. So it is a more extreme look, but it's not necessarily more or less red than the previous look. But this is just a more advanced way of using the color red in a fun makeup look. So yeah, those were 2 ways to use red eyeshadow in a more beginner-friendly way and in a more advanced way. Let me know what you think of this new series idea. I think it's very fun. It allows me to create in multiple ways and also challenge my own skills a tiny bit, while I also explain a more basic, simple tutorial to people. So I don't know, I think it's a fun mix of both, but let me know what you think of it and if this tutorial was anything useful or not. Also let me know what color you're most excited for, because we're going in rainbow fashion, so next up is orange. So let me know which shade in the rainbow you're excited to see a tutorial for. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. If you want to see even more from me, my blog and all my socials are linked down below, so you can check that out as well as my gaming channel. And that's gonna be it for me today. I want to thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Toodles!